language. And these are our leading stories tonight.
President Emerson Mnangagwa says Zimbabweans are masters of their own destiny.
In other news, a government describes a ZiG currency as the cornerstone of the stable microeconomic environment.
And in sport, Zimbabwe look to salvage pride against South Africa at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup this Sunday in India.
But I'll give you the news in detail.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, President Emerson Mnangagwa, says Zimbabweans are masters of their own destiny.
The head of state made the remarks while presiding over a pass-out parade at the Zimbabwe Military Academy in Gweru this Friday.
This Friday, the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, President Emerson Mnangagwa, presided over a pass-out parade at the Zimbabwe Military Academy, where 105 officer cadets graduated following 21 months of training. As the cadets prepared to join active service, the president urged them to understand the country's liberation history and the responsibility that comes with defending national sovereignty.
The importance of knowledge about our country's rich history, including the brutal journey under colonialism and the oppressive racist Ian Smith regime, culminating in the protracted War of Liberation, must never be taken for granted. That painful part of our country's past serves as a constant reminder of the enduring and sacred duty we all have to defend and safeguard our hard-won independence and our freedom.
The president emphasized that Zimbabwe will continue to determine its own path and called on the new officers to remain committed to national values.
As Zimbabweans, we are masters of our own destiny, and we make no apologies for this. Nyika inovakwa, igotongwa, igonamatirwa nevene vayo. Ilizwe lakiwa libuswe likulekelwe ngabanikazi valo. Hallelujah! You, the new members of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, are called upon to be unflinching patriots right from this onset and ideologically grounded throughout your careers.
Beyond national security, President Mnangagwa highlighted the importance of regional cooperation in addressing emerging threats.
Regional collaboration among armies strengthens collective security and peacekeeping efforts. Through the Southern African Development Community and the African Union, we are strengthening partnerships that safeguard our region against terrorism, instability, cyber warfare, among other emerging threats.
The pass-out parade also marked the first joint training program at the academy involving the Zimbabwe National Army and the Air Force of Zimbabwe from the initial entry phase, a move the president said enhances coordination and operational effectiveness between the two services. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Gweru.
A Vice President, Keno retired Dr. Kembo Mohadi, has called for increased private sector participation across the Southern African region, saying sustainable economic growth requires closer collaboration between governments and business.
The region should earnestly engage development partners and the private sector so that we work as a unit within our different levels of energy access and diversified economic and cultural backgrounds to address the different energy needs in the SADC region. The SADC region presents a very good opportunity for the private sector to participate in providing sustainable, modern, affordable and reliable energy services, particularly for rural communities that are usually underserved. The government of Zimbabwe has taken certain initiatives to accelerate rural energy access through grid extension and promoting decentralized off-grid systems and other forms of energy such as biogas and LPG. This has seen an improvement in access to clean cooking technologies with a rise in the use of LPG, even in the rural areas.
Government has described the country's local currency, the Zimbabwe gold, as the cornerstone of the prevailing stable macroeconomic stability.
A business indaba held here at the National Institute of Science and Technology NAST in Bulawayo this Friday gave government a channel to trace the remarkable progress that has been recorded towards stabilizing the economy. Tracing the stabilization measures from the Transitional Stabilization Program to the National Development Strategy 1 up to the National Development Strategy 2, the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Professor Mthuli Ncube, highlighted that the local currency, the ZiG, has been instrumental in promoting a stable macroeconomic environment.
The introduction of the structured national currency, the Zimbabwe gold ZiG, has been a cornerstone in fostering monetary certainty and predictability. The assumption of liabilities on the RBZ balance sheet by Treasury has allowed the banks, the central bank, to focus solely on the core mandate of maintaining price stability and general inflation stability, thereby strengthening the foundations for a more stable and predictable macroeconomic environment.
With the indaba having been held in the once industrial heartbeat, industry leaders believe Bulawayo is poised for a resurgence.
Bulawayo, with its proud industrial heritage and unmatched human capital, stands ready to reclaim its place as the heartbeat of the nation's economy. Once the industrial hub of Zimbabwe, this city is poised for resurgence. Powered by innovation, value addition, infrastructure renewal, and strategic investment.
The National Institute of Science and Technology NAST, as the convener of the indaba, indicated the crucial role it plays in producing graduates that are industry problem solvers.
We must become innovation accelerators. We must become skills transformation hubs. We must become industry problem solvers and policy thought partners. Therefore, this business indaba continues what we, as your councillors at NAST, began at a journey at the end of January this year.
The business indaba ran under the theme aligning the 2026 national budget with the National Development Strategy 2 for inclusive growth and Vision 2030. Lisa Corrida, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
The Angel of Hope, a drug rehabilitation center in Mbare, welcomed its sixth intake of patients this Saturday, drawing families from across the country.
The Angel of Hope Drug Rehabilitation Center in Mbare continues to prove to be a beacon of renewed hope, with families of drug addicts flooding its gates for the center's sixth intake. The latest intake was oversubscribed, with hundreds of families arriving from all provinces, inspired by the testimonies of those who have walked out of the center transformed and restored. Over 300 patients were admitted. Drugs and substances including marijuana, tumbra and cigarettes were confiscated from some daring patients who tried to smuggle them into the center. Parents and guardians packed the grounds of Stoddard Hall, some carrying their children in firm restraint, others with quiet determination engraved on their faces. A particularly striking case was that of a young man with exceptionally long nails, sparking curiosity about his reasons for keeping them. Some were even uttering incoherent statements. It was also evident during the intake that many girls are being affected by the issue of drug and substance abuse, given the increase in the number of girls admitted during this intake. The success stories have spread fast, prompting overwhelming demand for spaces, and many families from all the provinces endured the vetting processes, determined to secure help for their loved ones. First Lady Dr. Guzilia Mnangagwa, the founder of the Angel of Hope Drug Rehabilitation Center, interacted with the families, offering them words of comfort and reassurance that recovery is within reach. She also expressed her gratitude to Angel of Hope Foundation partners for their unwavering support, which enables her to carry out her philanthropic work at the center. Dr. Mnangagwa also thanked the government for equipping the survivors with vocational skills at local training centers. The First Lady also took part in the registration process. The event was also attended by veteran newscaster Oscar Pambuka, a drug abuse survivor. He shared his story of addiction and the journey towards recovery to offer hope to others and to break the stigma surrounding addiction. His narrative highlighted the devastating impact of addiction and the transformative power of seeking help.
Saka anita finance ndiani, anita industry and commerce ndiani. Saka ukono kwatuenda. Saka pa Angel of Hope takudzosa communication skills chaidzo. Takukudzosa kuti wewe umborani kweyo. Do you know kuti a carpenter? Do you know kuti a marketer? Chiko chanetsa pa Angel of Hope waku align wa mind yako nokuimpatwa nema skills. Kuti kana wabuda muno. Trust me, takawandisa, tapona. And atitsoke mashure. Bosi mashure ihora. Toshanda manderu, munozizia. Saka pana mabasi ba Jerry pa University of Restoration.
The stories of pain and resilience were many, with parents and guardians recounting days and nights of terror. However, when admissions were confirmed, parents and guardians rejoiced that their children were finally beginning a journey of total transformation.
Amai Mnangagwa vari kuita zvinhu zvakanaka stereki. Pane vana vedu kune mukwasha wangu futi akaenda kudadhaya. Ari kuzoka nhasi ndio futi takamirira. Vamwe vacho futi vapinzwa mukati mutauya navo kunoku. Tikuona kuti izvozvo vari kuita zvemadrugs. Tikavaunza kunoku amadrugs tikuona kuti ari kuita mashoma mulocation.
Chazoita kuti timusunge necheni. Anga achitiza asingatode kuuya kuno. Saka tatonoti ndo yega solution yatingatogona kusvika nayo panapa. Tichimutyisidzira ndizvo zvafanana nezvimashamhu ezvimapatoni stage. Kutombomuchapudzira.
Ndakatozozviziva papaya nekuona akudaidza shamwari dzakawanda dzichiungana pamba. Akuita pamba base. Vamwe vakomana vemumaraini vachiuya. Aitora maplates, mapoto, achinotengesa kuti awane mari yekutenga mutoriro iwoyo.
Kana nehope nhasi ndiri kudziwana ndandichichaya hope kana ndichiona mwana achitinetsa achinokohwa chibage chedu minda neminda yevanhu maasbestos angu achipwanya pamusoro pemba zvese zvazvichindinetsa izvozvo ndatambura naye.
Within months of its opening, the Rehabilitation Center has become a model of effective recovery, with each intake producing tangible results. Meanwhile, a glimmer of hope emerged after the arrival of former inmates, now disciplined and sober, after completing their skills training at a local vocational center. Their arrival brought joy to their families, who were overjoyed to see their loved ones transformed. Meanwhile, some survivors are proudly representing the Angel of Hope Drug Rehabilitation Center and the nation at large in Algeria, where they are currently pursuing their studies. The center's approach, combining medical care, counseling, skills training and family reintegration, continues to yield remarkable results. Colette Msanyera, ZBC News, Harare.
The United Cities and local governments of Africa have commended the Geopomona Waste Management Company over its waste-to-energy framework as a key catalyst in sustainable energy for Africa.
Waste management remains a global challenge, particularly for local governments who bear the responsibility of finding a solution to this problem. In Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, the Geopomona Waste Management Company has struck the right chords and found a solution to this problem. It is this solution that brought the United Cities and local governments of Africa to the Geopomona Waste Management Plant for benchmarking following their Southern African Regional Caucus meeting that was held in the country from the 26th to the 28th of February.
I would encourage all the municipalities to really adopt this same approach to managing waste. It must not be as mechanized as this one, but this is the way to go.
With a membership base spanning across Africa's 54 states, delegates of the United Cities and local governments of Africa said that the mechanization of waste management by Geopomona Waste Management Company is a framework that should be adopted by local governments across the continent if they are to solve their waste management woes.
The technology that we saw here, which is trying to make sure that waste that is accumulated within the cities can be collected, can be treated, and can be recycled in the form of energy. This is something I called circular economy that we need.
To us, I think it's a plus because it's happening in our region. And we look at the members that are here in Zimbabwe this time around, they are from the south, that's the southern region. And it's also one of our way of learning.
Visiting this project can help us to know that it is possible to design a solution, African solution.
Geopomona Waste Management Company Executive Chairman outlined how the company has managed to deal with the capital city's waste.
It's now up to the local authorities to start implementing this kind of model to their cities. But as the ministry, they're very happy, they're very grateful, they're seeing the good work which Geopomona is doing.
Now with Geopomona leading the task, Zimbabwe has become a benchmark nation for a framework that actually works in dealing with waste management challenges. For Geopomona, waste management is not the end goal, but turning the waste into sustainable energy for the benefit of Zimbabwean communities. Panashe Nagoli, ZBC News, Harare.
You're watching the news at 8. For these and more stories in detail, remember to visit our website, www.zbcnews.co.zw. You can also link up with us on social media platforms. We are ZBC News Online.
Now, still to come in this bulletin. Zimbabwe looked to salvage pride against South Africa at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup this Sunday in India. Well, after a break, we will be back with more. Just stay with us.
Welcome back. The media has been identified as a key partner in promoting road safety and supporting national development efforts aimed at reducing road traffic crashes.
The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe held its 10th Journalistic Awards ceremony in Harare this Friday to recognize media practitioners for their contribution to road safety awareness. ZBC News reporter Peter Chivima received the Most Consistent Reporter of the Year award, while Radio Zimbabwe producer and presenter Richmond Siyakurima was also honored for his work in road safety programming.
I want to dedicate this award to the entire team at the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. As you know that news gathering process is a teamwork. You cannot do it alone. Also, what is more critical to these awards is that I want to challenge or implore every Zimbabwean or every progressive Zimbabwean to take it seriously when it comes to the issue of reducing road carnages.
It doesn't mean that I am the best traffic award journalist, but I am just one of those journalists who took it upon themselves to write about traffic safety and the safety of the people on the road. I am so humbled to have lifted this on behalf of Radio Zimbabwe.
Organizers of the event, the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, urged journalists to maintain accurate and consistent reporting to help address road crashes.
Let us continue to collaborate and innovate in our efforts to reduce road crashes and injuries in our beloved nation of Zimbabwe.
The Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Honorable Shem Soda, represented by Chief Director Jonathan Gandari, said media reporting should align with national development priorities.
As we transition towards the National Development Strategy 2, the media's role has shifted. It is no longer that role of mere observation. The media's role in National Development Strategy 2 is that of nation building. For indeed, National Development Strategy 2 is about us building our nation. And we are building that nation towards a very clear vision, Vision 2030.
The Minister of Transport and Infrastructural Development, Felix Mona, represented by Deputy Minister Joshua Sako, called on the media to continue supporting efforts aimed at changing road user behavior.
As journalists, you have an onerous responsibility on your shoulders insofar as the reduction of road crashes is concerned. Your work is not just about gathering information, but it involves challenging the status quo and shedding light on critical issues around this critical subject. By highlighting dangerous driving behavior and various safety measures for drivers, pedestrians and cyclists.
The ceremony also included a tribute to veteran journalist John Masuku, who was posthumously recognized for his role as an adjudicator of the 10th TSCZ Journalistic Awards.
Now, in other news, the government of Zimbabwe says it is monitoring the situation currently unfolding across the Middle East following attacks on Iran by the United States and Israel. The attacks were immediately followed by retaliatory airstrikes by Iran, targeting U.S. military bases in several Middle Eastern nations. Writing on his X page, Deputy Chief Secretary Presidential Communications Mr. George Charamba said government is monitoring to ensure the safety of a sizable number of Zimbabwean nationals in the Middle East. He said Zimbabwe has missions in Iran, Kuwait, UAE and Saudi Arabia, as well as a sizable number of students and guest workers in those countries. Hence, government remains engaged to ensure their safety. The developments come as flights have been suspended across the Middle East after the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps carried out a string of simultaneous and massive missile strikes on U.S. military bases across West Asia. The move was in retaliation for airstrikes targeting several cities in Iran, including the capital, Tehran. Media outlets reported that the Iranian missiles struck U.S. military installations in Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, along with a series of the projectiles slammed into a base where U.S. Marines are based in Jaffa region of Bahrain. Washington has been ramping up the pressure on Tehran to agree to a new deal on its nuclear program, and on Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed dissatisfaction in Iran's negotiating position during nuclear talks. The United Nations Security Council is expected to meet and deliberate on the conflict, but the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the use of force by the United States and Israel against Iran and the subsequent retaliation by Iran across the region.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sport. Zimbabwe will be playing for pride when they face South Africa in their final Super 8 match at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup this Sunday in India, looking to bow out on a high note despite already being out of the semi-final contention.
Well, it's going to be another very, very difficult game for Zimbabwe, just like the previous two Super 8 games were for Zimbabwe. Interestingly enough, the pitch that they're going to be playing at in Delhi is quite a bit slower than the pitches and what they played in Mumbai and Chennai. And this may actually bring Zimbabwe into the game. So not necessarily help Zimbabwe to win, but it may bring them a bit more into the game. So in other words, the idea of bringing Graham Creamer back, or possibly even Wellington Masakadza, a genuine spinner to accompany Sikandar Raza, may be a very, very good idea. Having said that, though, you may then find that South Africa will then also play two spinners in Keshav Maharaj, the left-arm spinner, and then, of course, George Linder, the off spinner, who's a very useful batsman as well. So as much as it's going to be a very difficult task for Zimbabwe to beat South Africa, who are rampant at this moment in time, the slower pitch may just bring them back and provide for a bit more of a contest.
PSL champion Scotland's 2026 season's preparations have received a major boost after the club confirmed a $10 million United States sponsorship package to support their Premier Soccer League and CAF Champions League aspirations. The announcement was made during a kit unveiling ceremony held this Friday at Harare Sports Club.
It was billed as a kit unveiling, but what unfolded in Harare on Friday evening was a bold declaration that Premier Soccer League champions Scotland are not here to participate, they're here to dominate. Fresh from a dream debut season in which they gained a promotion and went on to lift the PSL title, Scotland have shifted gears yet again. Club chairperson Everson Chatambuza reviewed that the champions have secured a staggering $10 million United States sponsorship package from various partners for the 2026 season, funding that will anchor both their domestic title defense and the CAF Champions League campaign. EcoBank alone has committed $1.5 million United States specifically towards the Continental Adventure, while IMC Communications, Secunda Holdings, Swan Tobacco, Stumate, and other corporates continue to back the ambitious project. But the message was not only financial, it was structural. Scotland have appointed assistant gaffer Norman Mapeza, a coach with a proven pedigree beyond the group stages of continental football, to lead the technical team. He worked alongside former Warriors captain Peter Ndlovu, who takes up the role of team manager. The recruitment drive has been deliberate and calculated, with enterprising midfielders Emmanuel Zoch and Abubakar Moffat, striker Isaac Zagorurab, and several other new signings brought in to strengthen an already exciting squad.
We've managed to beef our squad to exactly where we are for the 2026 season. We are confident in their capabilities and we believe they are going to deliver.
The guest list further underscored this was more than a routine unveiling. Celebrated American hip-hop artist Rick Ross was in attendance, alongside Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage Honorable Kazembe Kazembe, legislator and former football administrator Honorable Chamuchwanza, Zifa President Ngobile Magwizi, and several high-profile figures. Outside the venue, 27 brand-new vehicles designated for Scotland players were paraded, symbolizing the scale and seriousness of the project. Government also threw its weight behind the initiative.
As we celebrate your success, Madhuranga, I want to reaffirm our government's commitment to developing sport sports across Zimbabwe. We recognize football as a powerful tool for social cohesion, youth empowerment, and national pride.
In a symbolic finale, the new Scotland jersey for the season, as signed by President Emerson Mnangagwa, was auctioned for $1 million, purchased by Secunda Holdings, with the proceeds going directly into the club's coffers for the 2026 campaign. For a club that only recently arrived in the top flight, Friday night made one thing unmistakably clear: Scotland's unveiling was not about fabric and design. It was a statement of intent, and it was emphatic. Lawrence Ruseda, ZBC News, Harare.
And that's our look at sport, taking us to the weather report and forecast.
Good evening, Zimbabwe, and thank you for joining us in today's edition of the Weather Report and Forecast. My name is Baba Maketa. Well, there wasn't much in terms of precipitation yesterday into today, and most areas were dry with some traces of precipitation. But however, tomorrow we are expecting some moisture over the northern parts of the country, and this should result in precipitation over these areas. And as the day progresses, we expect again some moisture over the southern parts of the country, and this should result in a heavy precipitation, especially on Tuesday over the southern areas of the country, that is over Matabeleland, south as well as Masvingo and some parts of Manicaland provinces. On Wednesday, again, we're still expecting some moisture over the country, and in terms of temperatures, we're expecting them to range between 16 and 22 degrees Celsius, with the lowest temperatures being over the central watershed, while Chiredzi and Kariba are expected to have minimums of around 22 degrees Celsius, and the maximums, we're expecting Chiredzi to record the highest maximum of 39 degrees Celsius tomorrow in the afternoon, followed by Gwanda as well as Kariba with temperatures in the 30s, and the rest of the country should be between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius. Now let us take a deeper look into the weather that is expected in Bulawayo over the coming week. We're expecting it to be raining throughout the week, but mostly on Tuesday, Wednesday as well as Thursday. In Matobo, the same situation again, with temperatures not going above 28 degrees Celsius in Matobo. Gwanda again will be precipitating mostly on Tuesday and Wednesday, but particularly conditions are expected throughout the forecast week. The same conditions are expected for Gweru, with some sunshine here and there. Masvingo again precipitating mostly on Tuesday. Mutare will follow suit, precipitating more for the greater part of the week, and Nyanga will be precipitating throughout the forecast week. Marondera as well. Except for Thursday and Friday, Harare should be precipitating, especially starting from Tuesday. Kadoma again precipitating throughout the forecast week. Chinoi precipitating again throughout the forecast week. The temperature is not going above 28 degrees Celsius. Victoria Falls again precipitating throughout the forecast week. Lupane again, we're expecting some precipitation throughout the forecast week. Bindura, the same situation. Temperature is not going above 29. Kariba, temperature is not going above 30 degrees Celsius in the afternoon for the forecast week. Now, Zimbabwe, this is all we had for you in this edition of the Weather Report and Forecast. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
And many thanks there to Baba Maketa and the Met Services Department for giving us the way of the weather.
Now, as you may be aware, Joyce, and our viewers, the glittering National Art Merit Awards are currently underway in Harare, where various creative are being honored. Now we cross over live to the Harare International Conference Center for the live coverage, like I said, of that event. Do enjoy.
Enjoy.
Good night.
Outstanding male dancer, Prince Mbisa, aka Amazing Prince, in the rise of Amazing Prince.